Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the Radio Toons podcast. How is it going?
It's going great.
I'm Steve.
I'm Ernie.
Sorry, we do not have our typical setup. So we are like kind of hunched over this mic at the moment in a semi-echoey room. Mm-hmm. So apologies. But I'll try to keep the energy up. So it's
you should see Steve shaking his head.
I'm moving my head. I'm shaking around. It's probably gonna make it sound worse. But so something very what should I say?
Momentous.
Yeah, momentous happened last week, 2 weeks ago. It was last week. Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo of America, retired.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Bowser's taking over the castle.
And Doug Bowser's taking over. I don't think anyone's mentioned it, but his last name is just like the guy from Mario.
What?
No one's mentioned that.
No one's made that joke?
Yeah. But I wanted to just give a little brief, how should I say, like a little biography of Fils-Aimé.
A little retrospective.
To kind of honor his legacy. Because Ernie was mentioning this before the podcast too, is like we were aware of him in like 2006, which is when the Wii launched, and I have like nothing but good memories of just like seeing him on stage at E3, like thin as hell because he put on some weight definitely, but like just he's just like talking about like this weird new controller like that you could play tennis on and all this shit.
I remember that so much.
And it's crazy too because it's like he's retiring. So like a lot of people would say like, oh, okay, I'm quitting, this job and I'm going to go do something else because maybe I don't want to just do video games all my life. But he's just like,
he's straight up retiring.
He's like, nah, I'm done. Like, yeah, like that's it for him.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, which is crazy because I mean, I'm not saying that adds more to like his legacy, but it just kind of makes it seem like he really wanted to just be at Nintendo his life, and he's done it, and now he kind of feels like I'm good. Like that's it. Now I get to spend time with my wife and kids and just live the rest of my life. So
that's right.
someone on Twitter, there's a really famous clip that everyone uses of Reggie saying, that's all I have time for. I need to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. And somebody cut it so that he says, I need to get back to spend time with my wife and kids. So there's a little wholesome meme for you all. Go look that up. Check it out. Give it a like. But yeah, so he apparently like he's worked a lot of jobs, all in kind of like the same fashion, like kind of management and like, from what it sounds like really well-paying like senior status jobs. Yeah. Since like 1983, he's been at he's gone from like P&G, which is like they own like Crest or something. They're like
so to tell you how big P&G is. There are probably no less than 10 products in your house that are P&G.
Okay.
Because they own things like Swiffer, Mr. Clean.
So they own everything.
They own a lot of different products, and they also do TV. They're a huge company.
Okay.
They're a huge company.
Fair enough. So that's where he began, 1983. Yeah. And then he moved over to like Pizza Hut. He eventually found his way to like VH1, that's when it was
the channel?
Yeah, right before Nintendo, he was at VH1. And then he moved into Nintendo at like 2003. So from then on, history was made as far as, his Nintendo career goes. But 2006 is when he became president of Nintendo of America, which is when I think most people know Reggie from. That's when the memes came out. That's when, and
I think it was not only just because... it's not just because it was the Wii for us or anything. It was because every time Nintendo would come out and do their thing, it was mostly from like a Japanese perspective. Mm-hmm. It was Miyamoto. It was any one of those people that were being translated and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember that particular E3 when they were talking about the Wii and all that. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, this guy just speaks English. Yeah. So it was like very, I don't know, it was very strange. But like, this guy has like a good
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember thinking that too. I was just like, so does this guy know Japanese? Or like, I was kind of like, who is this guy? He's just, all right, cool. But yeah, so we wish Reggie the best. I think a lot of people do. He's a very wholesome dude. He's just, like he said, he was always about the fans, the video games first. He loved his work. He was very passionate about it.
I love that the guy seems super wholesome, but also never seemed to be like too big for any. He never seemed like he was too big for anybody. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of different, you could say like community managers who have tried to be kind of like the face of a company and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He always seemed to not necessarily want to be the face of the company, but be more like I'm trying to like help everybody understand the fun that we're trying to offer here at this company. And like a lot of that was early on, like super early on, when like Mega 64 and stuff, they were starting out. He would do things with them.
Yeah.
As like, oh look, he's the president of Nintendo, but he would make jokes and stuff with them.
Yeah, he was a really good sport when it came to like the humor side of like, just either being in videos or like there was that one time where he played that Smash player on stage and he was like, he's like, I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna kick your ass and all this stuff, and it's like I know what you're saying, like he represented the company, but he also wanted people to know that it was all in good fun. He was never like overly competitive. Like you never heard him shit talk other companies.
No, and that was kind of a classy thing to do because other companies were always doing that. Always do it, especially like around that time, because this one time, like this sticks out in my head so much, but right around the time like the first, I think it was 360, like it was Wii,
PS3 360,
yeah, and it was like they were having a competition as to who could have the better sneaking game. So there was this video where you saw like something that looked like Snake, and then all of a sudden like the 3 dots of Sam Fisher appeared, and that's what I was like, it's Splinter Cell. Like that was kind of their deal for a while, was like, let's make fun of everybody else and make ourselves look better. But I don't feel like Nintendo ever did anything like that.
No, that's just the kind of company they are. It's like they feel like they how do you say, what is the old saying, like the only way to win is to not compete. That's kind of like Nintendo's mantra, is like they're like, let's just not compete, and that way because it's like they're always trying to be original and doing, whether it be like gimmicky stuff or whatnot, they're always trying to go against the grain. You know what I'm saying? Aside from all that stuff that we just said, he was also he went to Cornell, and he did like some Air Force stuff. He was like a what is that called?
ROTC.
Yeah, but what is it? It's like a recruitment officer.
Yeah. So essentially what that means is that they were like, it was a training program for kids to be in the Air Force, that kind of thing. So, and they do that kind of stuff to help them like get into college and all that stuff, and they usually comes with like some sort of bonus and stuff. Okay. So
so I'm reading all this from this article on Reset Era. So if you want to go check it out, they apparently dug up some like article that because like I said, he came from Cornell. He graduated from Cornell. They published like an article on him in like their alumni magazine thing.
Yeah, I would too if I got a job at P&G for sure.
Yeah, exactly, because he's a successful man.
Yeah.
So that's where they got all the info from. So it's all accurate. You can go in there and read his little biography. He's Haitian. I didn't know he was Haitian. So yeah, if you're interested in Reggie, go check that out. But in other news, Overwatch, huh? You surprised to hear that come from my mouth? Overwatch?
They had a new character? Because that's the only time you ever talk about
Yeah,
Overwatch.
I like this game. I like it. I'm going to talk about it. So I don't even know why you're thinking otherwise. But they announced a new character. His name is Baptiste, and he's a medic, so he's a support character.
But he's a man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so and I've been playing with him in PTR.
How many medics does that make?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's like,
because it's
7?
Ana, right?
Yeah, Ana,
Mercy.
Yeah. I want to see
what's the bad one?
Hold on, I want to see if Ernie can name them all.
Moira.
Moira, there you
and
go.
now Baptiste, right?
There's Zenyatta too.
Zenyatta can heal as well.
Yeah, he's a support. So
okay,
that's 5.
Zenyatta.
And then Lucio,
Lucio,
the main one, the main
right.
boy, and then you said Mercy and Hannah too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 6. I have 6 on here.
So now 6.
There might be another one on there. But yeah, he's at the moment. I feel like he's broken, quite honestly. But that seems to happen with every character they add. You know, they kind of.
I remember that's the first time you mentioned that was when you talked about Moira, and you were like, "If you want to win, just play Moira and you'll win."
So I think their strategy seems to be like let's put them in at fucking 15 and then we'll crank it down to like 8, you know, kind of thing. Which makes sense. Sure, whatever, why not? The one thing to me that sticks out though, so he has a burst fire gun.
Right.
If you don't know what burst fire is, he shoots three bullets at a time. He has like these little grenades that heal that come out of the bottom of his gun.
Okay.
Then he also has like this little self-healing thing that like sends out a little ring kind of like Lucio and heals everybody around him.
Okay.
He has like this Super Mario ass jump where he has like these weird boots like the Mario
That's
Brothers.
why you tweeted that. Okay, so in context, Steven tweeted out the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Where Mario and Luigi are giving each other high fives in an elevator and they got the jump boots on.
That's what it looks like.
And then,
it looks
like
Steven's
on, what did you put as that to? You're like, that Baptiste got that hardware or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, something like that. But so he's got that, and then he's got what I find to be ridiculous. It's an invulnerability field.
Okay.
So he throws this down on the floor. It's like a dual disc.
Okay.
Like season 1 fucking Yu-Gi-Oh. It goes up into the air and it creates like a cylinder.
Okay.
If you're in that cylinder, you cannot die.
But can you lose health?
You can lose health, but once you get down to like a certain amount,
Uh-huh.
it just caps it off and you can't die. So,
wow.
Yeah, which is pretty ridiculous. The thing can be destroyed, the barrier thing.
Right.
It can be destroyed, but it has like a life bar.
Okay.
So like if you're honestly just thinking about it, like technically it's kind of like okay, it's just like another shield or like another form of a shield, right?
I guess, but that no die thing is very interesting.
Yeah, it really is because you would be surprised how many people ignore that thing. So like you can clearly see it like above you, right? Mm-hmm. But your enemies will still shoot at you, and like
well, eventually it's got to shut down, right?
No, it doesn't. As far as I saw, it only shuts down if you shoot it. So
interesting.
So I'm standing there and people are shooting me, but I'm not dying.
How much life How much life does it have?
I think it has 250. I'm not sure about that.
Wow. Okay.
So that's like another human being.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like that's like killing
another character. Yeah,
but it doesn't have like a head or anything. So
no weak spots or anything. So at the moment right now, I am like, this is fucking insane. Like, I don't know. That's pretty like to me. Anytime I hear some kind of game mechanic is invulnerable,
it's broken.
It's ridiculous to me. Yeah. You know, like there's so few things in Overwatch that have like true invincibility. Like even like Zenyatta, like he's invulnerable during his ult, but you can still push him, or you can still like if Reinhardt charges him, he won't take damage, but you can still charge him. So like you can still move him. There's very few things like I can't even think of something that's like truly invincible in Overwatch.
What about McCree's dodge? Like, are you invulnerable
during
the death?
That has no invincibility frames.
Really?
Yeah, you're just.
I thought the dodge did have like a couple frames of that.
Oh. No, you're completely vulnerable. Moira, I guess, has her disappear, but that's a little bit different. She's just not on the screen for a while.
What about when you do your, when you use what's his name? Oh crap, I can't remember his name. Who? But when he does his rose dance with the shotguns, are you invulnerable there?
Oh, the Death Blossom Reaper? No.
No?
He gets stunned.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, like I said, yeah, there's not a lot of things that are invulnerable in the game. So this is kind of, like, to me, I'm like, that's a fucking game changer.
Yeah.
But I guess that's how they try to make every character. They try to make it so that they have an impact on the meta. It's not just some shovelware fucking, like, hey, we just shit this character.
What do you think of his design?
What do you mean?
Like, the character himself. Like, do you think he looks cool? Do you think he looks like... Does he look like another character a little too much?
I think he looks pretty cool. I do kind of feel like his design was kind of thrown together, but only because a lot of people have been saying that like in Mercy's first, like one of her first iterations, she was a black dude, like in just imagine her clothes right now, but like a black dude in her clothes. So he kind of has like feminine features, I guess, but he's like a big buff black dude.
Okay.
So people were saying like, oh, they probably just took, that design and reworked it to be like a little more like
oh, I see. Okay.
mobile or like, because he is pretty mobile, like with his jump and stuff. He's one of the few meta characters. Like I mean Lucio obviously, but like he's one of the only other characters that has like really good mobility.
Well, Genji,
like,
right?
Like climb up support characters.
Oh, support characters.
Yeah, because like Mercy still has to follow somebody. Like Anna has no mobility. Zenyatta also is like you gotta fucking float there. Like, but he's like truly like he can get up on top of buildings and shit. He can get the high ground if he needs to. And that was kind of the point. They were saying like, we wanted somebody who could deal damage like Zenyatta, and still be able to heal his teammates.
Okay.
So yeah, his designs. Just check him out because I do think he looks a little bit strange. I don't like the scouter thing. He has a little
little Vegeta thing.
He has a little Vegeta scouter, and I'm not
Dag Ball Z in there.
I'm not too crazy about that. But whatever. Like alternate skins fix everything, dude. They can just do whatever they want in alternate skins.
Do you know anything about his story?
Yeah, apparently he was like orphaned. Or I should say, is that the term? Like he like the Omnic crisis basically wiped out his family. Oh, so he was orphaned by that. Like they caused him to be an orphan. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, orphaned. Yeah.
And he became like just a fucking orphan, and then like eventually he joined Talon. Mm-hmm. And when he was part of Talon, which is the bad guys, for those of you who don't know, he thought like, I'm just doing this to make ends meet, and I'm just fighting for my cause or whatever. Until there's like a day where he realizes like he's killing somebody, and then there's like this kid standing there, and he's just like, this is just like me. Like I'm doing the same thing to this kid that they did to me so many years ago, and he kind of ends up rejecting like this Talon, whatever, like alliance. And a lot of people were saying like, it's kind of like Finn. They have like that same scene almost where he's like holding the helmet of his like like a stormtrooper helmet, like rejecting this way of life now. So he's kind of like this own. As far as I'm concerned, he's like this rogue vigilante like guy that just fights for himself. Mm-hmm. Still kind of leaning towards the good side though. Kind of like Sombra, I guess, because you know how like Sombra, you can tell in her
she's playing both sides.
Yeah, like she either has like ulterior motives somewhere, like she's not completely aligned to one side.
No, she's more trying to make sure that she's taken care of first.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know why I've grown to love Sombra so much recently.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why either. Like I don't.
Is it her design or just the way she plays?
I don't know. Well, yeah, like they've made a lot of changes to her since she first came out, so I think she's a lot more like viable now, and people know how to use her. Because that's the other thing too, is that like these characters come out, and I feel like sometimes they don't give them enough time to breathe before they start nerfing them and shit. So I don't know. But last thing I'll say about Baptiste, your fingers are gonna hurt because he has his regular fire, right? Mm-hmm. He also has the other ammo type, which is the grenades that heal.
Right.
So I'm constantly clicking, like both fucking clicks, like constantly, and like he's got 45 rounds. So he doesn't need to reload right away. Like
interesting.
A burst fire gun because like Soldier 76 only has like 25. Like most characters have like smaller clips, like with the exception of like Orisa, who can just kind of like hold her machine gun weapon. He's like tap burst fire is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not used to these kind of like guns. Mm-hmm. It also has recoil too, so it feels more like a.
That would make sense because he's a support character.
Yeah, it feels more like a Counter-Strike-y gun or like even like Apex Legends type gun. So yeah, try him out if you have PTR. I would say go check him out because he's really fun. Like I said, they always try to make these characters with like wild designs that try to change the meta and all that. But have you been playing anything, Ernie? Any games?
Yeah, on the Switch, I bought Guacamelee 2. I mentioned that, I think, on the last podcast, but we didn't actually talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, it's kind of, like, the first game that I played with it was also on the, I believe it was on the, I don't know if it was on the Switch. I think I played it on the Xbox.
The first game?
Yeah. I think I played it on the Xbox.
I played a little bit with you. on 360, I think.
Was it 360?
It might have been 360. Yeah, it was a long ass.
So I was playing that because like that one in particular was great because Guacamelee does a lot of platforming more than actually fighting. And so when I saw the second one was coming, I was like, oh great! But like when it came out, it was like nobody talked about it, nobody said anything about it.
That's kind of what happens with these indie games that are like, I mean, with the exception of maybe like Hollow Knight and like Shovel Knight. There's like these sleeper hits that like people don't even like pick up on, like.
No, yeah, and that's how I felt because all of a sudden I was like, hey, I thought Guacamelee was coming out, and I go on my Switch, it was like, oh, it's $30, and it's like on sale, and I was like, when did this come out? And it was like a month or so ago, and so like I bought it, and it's like I gotta sing the praises of this game again because like the one aspect of 2D platforming that I really like is like effective 2D platforming where you control most of the action on there. So it's like platform 1 to platform 2. It's not just like a single jump, but it's like you have to do a jump, and then you have to do a certain move, and then a certain move again to reach a certain part. And that's like that takes a lot of skill and practice and stuff. That's what this game does.
Because sounds like The Messenger, what you just described to me.
Exactly, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. So like the character itself is like just full of cheesy puns and everything because it's Mexico.
Yeah.
It's the Mexiverse, I should say.
Okay.
So it's like this game basically took what the other one did. Like I'm not going to spoil the first one because the first one is very like because it's an origin story. Has a lot of characters and a lot of things it's got introduced. So I won't mess with it. But the way that resolves doesn't affect what the second game is because the second game basically says, well, there was a that happened in your universe, but in all these other universes, something different happens. So come and help us on this one. So
it kind of reminded me of Metroid when we played it.
It's very much like Metroid
because there was parts of the map that we couldn't reach, and then we had to come back with the power up later.
Exactly.
And kind of like
very much so. But the moves, or I should say, his fighting and everything is very much like that other game I used to like called Shank. So it's like it's a combo based system, and the more combos you get, the more reward you get out of them. So they encourage you to like. Yes, you're gonna do these like you could just beat it by mashing a button, but the more combos you do and the more of a chain that you create, the more reward you get. So you get more coins. Great thing about it is like everything you do has two purposes. So like if you get an uppercut, that actually adds another jump to your jump, and then you also have like a forward punch, and that actually gives you mobility forward. So a lot of the platforms. You have to literally do combos.
Do you get these like in an order?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get them as you go because like it's really funny because that you say like Metroid and everything because those statues that you destroy in Metroid to get your things, they're the same ones you get in this one.
Oh, okay.
But I forget what they call them, something different with like a little Mexican tone over it or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. This game's very like pun heavy.
Okay.
But because of that, everything you do adds to the platforming, not just the fighting. The fighting is pretty much standard. And what they do is every time you get a new power, they gain a shield that encourages you to use that power.
Okay.
To like break through it. So the game itself is just full of some badass platforming. And when I say badass platforming, I'm like they did a great job on the first one. This one's like fucking hard.
Oh, okay.
Like Super Meat Boy level kind of shit because like just to get across like a fucking lake or anything like that, it takes like 5 combos to get across, and it's great. And then they add this new mechanic where you remember how I said that it's like parallel universes and stuff.
Yeah.
In this one, he can once he gets that certain power, he can switch between the worlds really quickly, which means like a platform that exists in one world doesn't exist in another.
Oh, okay.
So you have to switch back and forth, but they keep you on your toes because not only do the platforms not exist in both worlds, the enemies don't exist in both worlds. But the enemies can always hit you.
Okay.
So that's so like you're managing not only to do all the moves to kill these things. They have certain shields, and now they have worlds that they disappear into. So it's like I'm playing this game and I'm thinking, wow, they just amped everything up just to get you to like this place, and I'm only halfway through the game. Okay. And I think like because the great thing about this game is they give you all that stuff pretty early on, and so the rest of the game is you just figuring it out how you move across the world, and more like you got to be clever to get through a lot of this stuff. They don't just kind of give that to you. But the game itself is so much fun. The puns are pretty bad because, like, in the very beginning of the game, when you're traveling through worlds, you go to Limbo World. Mm-hmm. That's like the Limbo indie game. So he's all in black and white, and he's got little beady eyes, and he's like, "Oh no, this is the wrong world. This is just kind of has a limbo feel to it." And then you transport again. You transport to a city. And then once you get into the city, it's like the president has been kidnapped. Are you a bad enough dude, or I should say hombre, to go get him? And then you keep walking, and like they do a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's really funny.
I've noticed that like indie games seem to have like this very like they reference each other a lot, like
a camaraderie.
Yeah, like it's like this own little like group of people that like. If I remember correctly, that's the game where in the first one you would go into a room and there was like posters for the old games. It might have been that game. I just remember like seeing Super Time Force and like Super Meat Boy and like other games were like on the wall or something.
Right.
Like, so that's pretty cool.
They do a great job of keeping the game pretty fast paced. But yeah, you're right. Like in the background, they'll see like a blue Mexican wrestler, and his name is Senor Speed, and he says, "I gotta go rápido," and stuff like that. So I was like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah, Mario.
But like, I really recommend that game, especially like I know again price point. A lot of people don't like to reference that, but it's like a $30 game.
30?
And yeah, it's a $30 game. So I picked it up and I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted out of this sequel.
Okay.
So I mean, with any of these games, halfway through whatever you're playing, they always drop a bomb on you. So I'm just waiting for that, whatever that bomb is, because they've already given me at this point. They gave me all the powers.
Yeah.
Right, and so I'm waiting for like the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past thing, where they go like, "Oh, and by the way," then they flip the whole world upside down.
Here's 5 more pendants to collect. Or
exactly.
Something. Okay.
Exactly. But I really recommend it, especially for people who are like me, are always just picking up a game like to play passively, and like you get like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Yeah. Because
it's got a great system of like me and Steven are playing Super Mario World 2 right now, or Super Mario Brothers 2 right now.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, it's like having a little safe space every so often.
Yeah.
Because it's very forgiving if you can't get past a certain part. But man, if it didn't have as many save points as it did, jeez, like, this game would be impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those speedrunner games. Like I'm sure people have speedrun it because it just seems like one of those games where like perfect movement is kind of like rewarded.
Very much
like
so.
Stuff like that. So.
Especially cool. Because a lot of it is time-based. Like, timing-based, sorry, not time-based. It's like a platform will appear and disappear, or like you'll only be able to jump on this platform and then jump to a new one and you have to switch and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's almost like built for a speedrunner.
Okay,
It feels like it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've been playing something too. I haven't played much, honestly, because I've been kind of busy this week, but I picked up Starlink.
Right.
So if you don't know what Starlink is, it's a Ubisoft game, and it's made it's their kind of like Toys to Life thing. Mm-hmm. So it's a game about people in space with little spaceships, and the Nintendo Switch version exclusively has Star Fox in it. Mm-hmm. And I got it for $25. So I don't know if it's still that price on Amazon, but it's normally $75. Which is like, fuck that, right? I'm never paying $75 for anything. But it's only $25 right now on Amazon because I guess it didn't do well or something. But it comes with an R-Wing.
Right.
It comes with a little Fox pilot. And it comes with the standard guy. You know, just throw that away. Nobody cares about that.
Just throw that away.
And then it comes with like 2 guns, a little fire gun and an ice gun. So
it's like I took a look at it because Steven, when we went to record last time, he was showing me, oh, look, here's Starlink. And I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is the detail on it is very impressive.
It looks good, man. Like, honestly, like, I told you this before, it's like, if I can get a toy of an R-Wing, yes. Like, I'm fucking in. Like,
I mean, it's their version of an R-Wing.
Yeah,
so it's not exactly an R-Wing.
Yeah, but like, if you squint your eyes a little bit, it looks exactly like it.
I have to say that the construction of it is very impressive.
Yeah, it looks cool, and it's completely like customizable too, because you can take the wings off. Mm-hmm. You can put new wings on. You can put new guns on. Mm-hmm. You can obviously change the pilot, like you pick it up off your controller, and to play with it on your controller is a little bit awkward. Mm-hmm. I kept like hitting my hand when I was gonna scratch my nose or something.
Right. Do you have to play with the Joy-Cons?
You do.
Oh, okay.
You have to play with the Joy, as far as I know. But there's a lot of customizations options as far as like controls and stuff. Because I'm not gonna say the controls are weird, but you're used to playing like a flight game inverted, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other stick is the one that controls like the nose of your ship. So I don't have it inverted because it's like it feels awkward.
Okay.
It's hard to explain, but yeah, I don't personally recommend like inverting the controls on this. Anyway, the actual game, the Star Fox stuff is so hard for me not to like smile at. Like Star Fox is so fucking like why does he not have another game? Like he's such a good character, and his whole crew shows up, right?
Right.
So the Starlink crew is there. They're like just human beings, random guys. They get attacked by some shit, by these little like demon guys or something. I forget what the fuck they are.
And then Star Fox shows up.
Yeah,
right?
and then so in this version, Star Fox shows up and he helps them out. And when you're playing with Star Fox, his buddies chime in. So the whole game.
Oh my gosh! So it's just like Star Fox 64.
So the whole game it has Slippy, it has Peppy, Falco. They're all talking to you the whole time, which is fucking great. Like I'm so in love with that. Well, what else is cool is the way they actually handled like traveling. So like if you're in like in a dogfight in space, it feels kind of like Star Fox, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you get into a planet, like you actually have to fly to these planets, which is kind of insane. And like you have to use hyperspace to get to certain farther planets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're flying into the planet, you do that thing where like you break the ozone, like you go through the ozone layer.
Yeah.
And once you get near the floor, it kind of puts you in like this levitating state, so that you can just kind of float around.
That's what I've seen mostly in the commercials.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty cool. Like I feel like, I think it was Star Fox Assault, the one on GameCube where you get out of your ship.
Yeah.
You walk around. Fuck that. If they would have made it like this, where it's like, oh, okay, Star Fox, put your plane in like fucking like
hover mode,
dude, it would have been so great because it just seems way more seamless to be able to go from like a floating kind of like, oh, I'm kind of like maneuvering around this boss to like fight him, going into like a flight mode as opposed to like, oh, let me get out of my ship and use like this stupid.
You mean just go into all range mode?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but it's pretty cool so far. I mean, it seems like. I can understand why I didn't get such high ratings. It has like 7s right now, 7s, 8s, which is still pretty good, but it is kind of repetitive. There's a lot of like, hey, there's something over there you should go check out and maybe get me those minerals or something. You don't
get me those minerals.
Yeah, there's a lot of side missions you can do and stuff like that. But so far, like I said, like the CG cutscenes with like Fox and his crew are just so like.
Those were some of the best parts of Star Fox Zero, to be honest.
Yeah, and their designs look cool too. They're really faithful to the Star Fox like Zero thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're at all interested, I would try and pick it up for that $25 because they're gonna add Falco and shit later. Like they just announced in the direct that you're gonna get to play with Falco, and
so he's gonna be a little pilot.
Yeah, I assume,
here's the other
right?
thing too. I saw it at Target, not for $25. I saw it for like $30, and it came with the R-Wing and everything as well. So you might be able to like go to a Target, a Walmart, and find it on sale there already. Yeah. So maybe if it's not on Amazon, they might still have a couple over at like a discount store.
Yeah, but I would. If you like Star Fox, like I said, I would say check it out.
I will say this too, like in terms of the construction, like it's very clever because if you guys, if you're listening to this, if you do a little C with your hand, right?
Okay, do a C with your hand.
Just a little C, right? And then you just like if you like put your other hand inside of it, like you're trying to punch, almost like you're doing a punching motion. That's how the Star Fox like little character fits in to the controller. Yeah. And then the plane goes over the whole thing. Yeah. Like kind of like a cap. And then the little Star Fox character can look through the window. Yeah, if you like, that's the kind of attention to detail they put in this model, which I think is so fun. Yeah, because they could have just made this like really crappy, oh look, it comes with the pilot and it clicks in. But no, this like stands on its own, and then the cap puts him in the cockpit, and it's a very clever little design. I can't. It is kind of cool to see like the stuff pop up on screen because I'm like, how does it even read it? It feels like it's like if it works is what I'm trying to say. Like so. Yeah, like it has. like on the base of the Star Fox and on the base of the R-Wing, there are these little like pins that insert into the controller and everything like that. So I assume it's just they got a little microchip in there to tell it, oh, this is what this is.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the controller thing they give you for it, it's kind of a sight to behold. So just imagine the Joy-Cons, right? You have one in each hand. Mm-hmm. In between that, you have a plane now.
Yeah.
So like put your hands together, like if you have the dog thing,
mm-hmm.
the whatever, and there's just like a plane, like kind of just.
Are there motion controls
sticking out? No.
That's weird, especially if you have it in your hand like that.
Isn't that insane?
That seems like, that should go hand in hand.
Yeah, I was like, no brainer, right? I was like, I was actually like, let me turn on motion control so I can see what it feels like, you know. It
seems like
because I'm a fucking child.
Waste. It seems like such a waste.
Yeah.
You literally have a toy in your hand.
So, like, maybe I should go back and check the options because I could have sworn I didn't see them in there. I was really surprised that they didn't have them on just by default, you know. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll patch it in.
Maybe they knew you hated it, so they took it out without giving you the option.
Yeah, just me, because everyone fucking loves motion controls. Apparently, Splatoon players love motion controls.
It was the only way to play the first one.
That's what they said.
That's how I used to play the first one with the Wii Pad or whatever, I forget what it was called, and it was easy.
But like what is it? It's like with both of them. So like you move the joystick and then you just use the motion for like precise
aim. Yeah.
You know. So yeah. Whatever. Anyway, I bought a movie this week, and it's a movie that I've already seen.
So you're giving your second review of it.
I watched it again and I still really liked it. I got Wreck-It Ralph 2 on Blu-ray.
Where he breaks the internet.
It's on Blu-ray this week. And so since I bought the Blu-ray,
right,
I predict that the movie will be out in 2 weeks on Netflix because that's how it seems to work. I buy it because I want to watch it and then Netflix will just...
Oh, by the way, here it is.
Yeah, like, oh, here you go. Like, in some cases even undercut me like, whoa, you were thinking about buying this? Here you go. You know, so...
it's so funny.
But it's fucking great. I really hope Ernie watches it so we can actually fully talk about it. But it's...
well, it's going to be out on Disney, or it's going to be out on Netflix in 2 weeks, like you said, right?
Wait, okay, hold on. I'm not trying to get sidetracked here, but wasn't Disney Plus supposed to start in March or something this year?
Yes.
So
it's
maybe
not March yet.
I know, but maybe they'll just wait for that, right? Or no?
Well, I mean, we don't know what the first lineup for that is going to be until it comes out. And they're probably going to hold that pretty close because not only, like, they haven't taken away all their Disney stuff from other stuff yet. Mm-hmm. And they still have a bunch of apps out. So my guess is that they're just going to have a bunch of classics on there first. That's my guess anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, it starts in March, April, I thought. That was the window.
Speaking of classics, all the Disney princesses are in this movie.
Oh, boy.
They feel a little bit shoehorned in, honestly.
That's because they were, Steve.
They were, and you know why? So they have little, like, they have deleted scenes.
Mm-hmm.
They have behind the scenes.
Okay.
They have Easter egg hunt.
They
have all this stuff. But as I noticed a lot of, like, a recurring theme when I was watching the deleted scenes, which was... so it's Rich Moore, the director.
Okay.
And then this other guy, I forget his name. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, bro.
Bro.
But they're talking about how the story was completely different for a long time, and then they had to change it, and then they had to change this again. Like,
are they talking about this particular movie or the entire? Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, like, okay, so if you don't know the premise of Wreck-It Ralph 2, I can give you a non-spoiler premise.
Okay.
The arcade has Sugar Rush, right? Sugar Rush breaks.
Okay.
And they need to get a replacement part, or else Litwick is going to unplug the machine and just scrap it.
Right.
And they're just like, oh, where are we going to find a part? And eBay has a part, but it's really expensive.
Right.
How are we going to get the money? Oh, it turns out you can get money by loot hunting in video games. So that's what they do. They play an online game and try to loot hunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work out. Now Ralph is trying to go viral and be like a viral market, like a viral YouTube video, and that's how he's going to get money.
Okay.
So that's the premise, is that they're trying to get money to buy a steering wheel to fix Sugar Rush.
Okay.
So that's what it is. Originally, apparently, it was going to be when they're doing that whole viral thing, they were gonna have like Team Vanellope, Team Ralph, and they have like this competition of who can go the most viral or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So it ends up creating like this kind of like rivalry between them.
Right.
Which is where like the falling out happens. You know, there's always like a falling out in the Disney movies. Of course
there is.
But that's apparently where it was gonna happen. And then like there was also like Ralph was apparently gonna get a Photoshop clone stamp to like in the original script he got a Photoshop clone stamp and he cloned the hearts. That's how he got the likes for his video.
Oh, I see.
So like he cheated and it becomes this whole thing where like Vanellope's like, you know what, you won fair and square, like no hard feelings, and then he just feels guilty because he's like, oh, I cheated and all this. Yeah. So but I'm like listening to this and I'm like, fuck, they had like this whole story down and they had to completely change it. And it's true because I was telling the podcast, whatever, I was telling Ernie, when I was talking about it, that there were scenes missing from the movie. Like there were scenes in trailers that just didn't show up in the movie.
Right.
And then there was like jokes that were cut from the movie, all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, it turns out they had to rewrite the fucking script because, which to me, I'm like, if you're an animator, that must be fucking 10 times worse than like, just like, I'm not saying like just acting. I know like reshoots are expensive too, but like to have to animate a whole new fucking scene, like, and changing things is like,
and that's assuming you can actually go back and change it because, especially with 3D, once you're done with something and it starts to go through the layers, you have to go back and redo that entire setup because you can't just reapply all that stuff. So it's a lot to go back and change that.
Talking about like the 3D aspects of this movie is so visually impressive. This is definitely like, it almost reminded me of like Coco, where I'm just like, my eyes are just like fucking burning from all the vibrance coming off of the screen, which is like a good thing, you know, burning in a good way.
I'm sure like when like just from the trailer, and from things that I've heard, it's like every time you look, when the first time they go to the internet, there's so many Easter eggs in
it's beautiful, dude. Like and they have like for anybody that was like, especially me, like when I first saw the trailers for the movie, I was like, they're gonna fucking load it with all this internet crap.
Yep.
There's a scene where Ralph and Vanellope walk out like to a little balcony to look at everything.
Right.
There's not a fucking logo in sight. It's literally just like lights and like little like exclamation points or like a little tram. Like it's just no logos. Everything looks fucking beautiful. So like they do pick their moments with these fucking, you know, product placement things or whatever.
Right.
So it's not all just fucking Anyway. The movie is fucking beautiful. This character, yes, I don't know if you saw her in the trailer.
Yeah.
The blue girl.
Yeah, the one that was giving Ralph likes in the trailer.
She has like 7 different outfits.
Okay.
She changes like dramatic, like her.
Of course she does.
Yeah, right. But in my head, I'm just like, how many fucking 3D models do they have to make for this chick? Like, and her costumes look cool. Like, they actually changed her haircut and stuff. I mean, obviously she's like, I don't know, she's like digital or whatever. She can change on a whim, fly or whatever. But like, I'm like, fuck, like they put a lot of work into that character. So I mean, I don't know. Just when you're watching the movie, keep note of how many times she changes costumes because it's very wacky. Like it's crazy.
Well, she's trying to. I mean, from what I understand from like the trailer and some of the story aspects that I've listened to, she's supposed to represent basically the social media aspect of the entire internet, right? Like so of course she changes her perception as much as she does because, you know, she's always after those likes.
She's literally the algorithm.
Right.
That's what she is. So like, I don't know, take that for what you will, but like so I guess she has to change personalities, all that. She basically
she changes like people's tastes.
Yeah, she favors what she wants.
Right.
She picks things based on other people's whatever. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the Disney princesses, they were a bit shoehorned in.
Of course
the scene, honestly, like it does stand out to me, but it's like, how do you resist the charm of every single Disney princess in a movie? Like it's hard. Like you can't like.
I mean, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be such a commercial for And then, like, as I was watching, it was like, Oh My Disney, that really big community of people that are on Oh My Disney. I was like, oh, look, they're represented here too. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just like a specific targeted thing to them. He's like, what if all the Disney princesses were all together?
You know,
and they had like sleepwear that said Sleep Queen or all this stuff. I was like, oh, God.
I think they had, honestly, merchandise-wise, I think they had big plans for that stuff, and I feel like it didn't sell, so...
Oh, it probably sold.
I don't see anyone wearing that
But
shit.
that's the thing, dude. Like, how many, like, 12-year-old girls do you see walking around all the time? You don't. Like, that community, we have no perspective of it.
I suppose, but they made it, like, in adult sizes. Like, I was expecting to see girls wearing that Ariel shirt, it's, like, says something
Sleep
like...
Queen? Or, no, wait.
No, Nap Queen is Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
Hers says, like... What the fuck does Ariel say in her movie? Like, doohickeys and whatnots? And,
who's it's and what's
and
it's.
yeah, stuff like that. It says it like that shirt where it's just the text and yeah, whatever. But no, nothing. And it's all on sale right now at the Disney store. It's literally like...
Well, everything's always on sale at the Disney store. Listen, I'm sure it did really well because of the things that they didn't sell, they probably sold a ton of pins.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, they sold a bunch of pins. They probably sold a bunch of those inanimate... the inanimate sets that they have there where like they have all the Disney princesses in one set.
Okay.
Like, trust me, they made a lot of money.
But I got it from the Disney store. They got me. They were like, hey, if you reserve it here, you get these prints of
that's right, you were telling me about
like scenes from the movie. And I actually thought it was just one. I saw that it was just like this one Vanellope with all the princesses in the little lounge.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, I want that. So give me that now, please.
Give me it to me.
Just hand it over. And she's like, oh yeah, just pre-order the movie here and you'll get it. And I was like, cool. And she gave it to me, and then I looked in they give you like this cool little folder that has like Wreck-It Ralph on it and stuff. And when I got home, I was like, oh, there's like 5 in here. They're not the same one either. They're all like different scenes from the movie. So I'm like, fuck yes, like this is great. I have one thing to say. If you're ever gonna do prints, okay, if you're a person in the market for selling prints, stuff like that, or giving it out as a pre-order or something, number one, pick a size that I can frame. Okay. I don't want to go to a fucking framing store and figure out how to frame this. Okay. And I say that because if you don't frame a print, what the fuck are you gonna do with it? It's just gonna lay in your house. Unless you're like a 5-year-old and you're gonna like tack it to like a cork board or something. Like, you want to frame your prints, okay? So make it a universal size that's easy to fucking find a frame for. Number 2, put the size of it somewhere. I couldn't for the life of me figure out what fucking size it was because I don't have like a measuring tape. I could easily buy a measuring tape and do it myself, but it's like, I asked the woman there, like, do you know what size these prints are? Like, it would be awfully convenient if you could just tell me now, because I'm already out in public.
No.
Yeah, she's like, no, I don't know what the size is, and I was like, what the? Like, look, listen, like, okay,
I'm supposed to know everything.
That's
Disney.
like, yeah, sure, that's my fault, right? But it's like, just if you're gonna make it easy, just make it easy for me. I'm the consumer. Like, that's your job, is to just make things easier for me. But those things aside. They're fucking beautiful prints, and I got them for free because I just pre-ordered the movie there.
They got them.
I mean, I did have to drive all the way to the mall in the middle of the week, but still.
Oh no.
Yeah. Still. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I know everyone's gonna say, like, you know, Spider-Verse got the Oscars, so, you know, like, compare it to that, right? But
well, it's because Ralph had 2 things working against it.
I mean, just to be fair, I loved both movies, you know, and I just kind of hate that, like, this always happens where it's like they have to pin things against each other, right?
They do.
They always have to do this. Like,
but here's the thing, right? It's like, it was a sequel, first of all, so it was running up against itself because then you compare it to the first movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But the second thing was, Disney had like two movies in the category. And this one, the way it was marketed was like very like, oh, look at all the Disney stuff we have.
Yeah.
You know, and then Spider-Man felt more like a statement about like who they were as a company at that point, and it just had less of an origin, and just, I don't know, it just seemed like a more based as a film than just as a cartoon sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's like, people are like, "Oh, dude, Spider-Man," and I'm like, "How many times have we seen Spider-Man?" First of all, second of all, it's like, what do you competing with Disney? Who owns Marvel? It's fucking Disney. like what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how are they? Disney got richer. Congrats! Like both fucking movies are giving them money. So.
Listen, if anybody doesn't know that, like, Disney's slowly but surely taking over everything, just remember they just bought Fox.
Yeah, it's like fuck. Or they acquired the rights.
They acquired the rights to like a bunch of their franchise stuff, including the X-Men and so that's coming.
Okay, I will say though, the actual internet references, I don't feel are like, intrusive in Wreck-It Ralph.
What about the Snapchat one?
No, because if anything, towards the end of the movie, it actually makes it feel like it's based in reality.
Okay.
There's a scene at the end where he's fighting something, and he uses a big pin from the Pinterest website to fight it. And then he falls off of a building, and he lands in like a mail truck. Mm-hmm. And when he lands in it, all these Gmails come out, like the red M on the envelope. They all fly out, and it's like at that point, it's almost like you know I've said this before, but it's like when a movie is like constantly reminding you of its universe, or like it doesn't lose itself towards the end of the movie. Like Matrix, for example, was the example I think was like. Towards the end of the Matrix, you're still seeing cool fucking camera tricks and stuff.
Right.
It's not like the movie forgot who it was by the end. And it's the same thing with the Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's like towards the end of the movie, you're still seeing these references to the internet because they're still fighting there. They fight on like the Google Tower. That's so funny. Like it's just it's how should I say? It's like it's just well done.
Submersive.
You know, like, yeah, like it doesn't seem to forget like why it's there or you know the plot or anything like that. But yeah, it's. I know. I just keep saying it's good, but it was a lot. There was a lot at stake here for me personally, just because I really liked the first movie. Mm-hmm. I heard they were doing a sequel. Sequels suck. They usually do. A lot of the time, sequels suck, and like for whatever reason, I don't know why, but like it's like Vanellope and Ralph are just like this. I feel like I identify with them, both of them. In different ways, you know, and I don't know why, but it also has to do with the fact that like newer Disney movies, newer Pixar movies too, they've strayed away from this kind of like, oh, this character's gonna fall in love kind of thing. It's not like that anymore. Like you watch Inside Out and it's like there's no villain. It's just these people like figuring out themselves, like what they want to do with their lives, you know, and it's like. You watch Coco and it's just like this kid wanting to break traditions. There's nothing about like, oh, he falls in love with some girl or like this is the girl in the movie. It's like
I think ever since Frozen they started doing that.
Frozen, it's like, oh, this is a twist on falling in love or like how love can affect, you know, the story. It's like
I felt like it was more like love is a like different love, but love is still love.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And it's like it's great because it's like I do feel like it kind of caters towards like this generation of people who aren't necessarily like I'm not saying they're depressed, but it's like I feel like a lot of people nowadays do have trouble like either like finding who they are or like dealing with some kind of like self-hate complex, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like these movies are being put out that are just like, you know, it's okay to be yourself or like, you know, this is a journey for you yourself. You don't have to worry about like what other people are forcing you to do as far as like, oh, you know, fall in love, have a family, all this other shit, you know, like, but yeah, I don't know, like that, especially this movie, like I was saying, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just like the ending really like shocked me because I was kind of like, I can't believe it went there, you know, like this is a fucking video game character, like it just really like it hits home for me, like even, I mean, you can say that about Spider-Verse too, you know, it's like, it's about Miles, but it's like, even that one's a little more traditional in the sense of like, oh, this girl, I like this girl kind of thing. Like,
well,
like, it's...
I guess kind of, but it really wasn't about that.
No, it wasn't, but it's just like, this movie, like, Wreck-It Ralph to me is like completely non-traditional, and I know people can argue that for sure, but it's just, I don't know, it's just the message did seem a lot more like unique in that way. So, I don't know. Highly recommend that fucking movie. Like, please go check it out. If you've seen the first one, especially, It's a good sequel because the sequel, the first one, the way it ended to me was just like so perfect. Like just it was just like he's happy, content, doing what he wants.
Right.
And the second one just basically starts with like Vanellope's kind of bored with life because they keep doing the same shit. But that's what Ralph wants to do. So that's where the conflict kind of starts in the beginning anyway. But yeah, so we are out of time.
Oh, I did want to mention a couple stuff that I watched this week, but not necessarily go into. Yeah, like I've been watching the show called One Day at a Time on Netflix. I'm not going to go too much into it,
okay,
because I don't think we have enough time. But it's on its third season at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's just about this Cuban family that's living in East LA, mm-hmm. and it's a spiritual sequel to a One Day at a Time that existed like in the
oh really
like the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's based on that, but it's all about like this lady trying to live her life in the big city kind of thing. But like back in the day when it was kind of like, what the heck? What do you mean a woman living in the city? What on her own? What?
Okay, I see.
But this one's taken quite like a different turn because again, it's a Cuban family.
Mm-hmm. But it's still set in the 80s or what?
No, it's set in present day.
Oh, okay.
But the twist, or I guess the what are you talking about kind of thing, is that she's a veteran, so
okay.
she's dealing with like, first of all, it's a comedy. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay. But it's a very like it's a family show obviously, but she's raising these kids on her own. She has her mom living with her because of course she is, because Hispanics always have their grandmothers in with them. Sure. Who is played by Rita Moreno, who is like famous for being in West Side Story. Okay. So they got like a lot of like that kind of stuff in there, but it's one of those shows that's like Scrubs, or that's like, I can't think of another example of it, of something that hits you, but it's like it's got that funny stuff, but also it hits you with some like real ass issues. Okay. Like, I mean,
sitcoms do have. I mean, like Friends had some. Maybe not so much,
but like, just I'm trying not to go too long, but like Frasier. Scrubs had like Frasier, okay, but like Scrubs did a whole thing where it's like, look, we're in the medical profession. This is why this is why medicine is so fucked up. Yeah. But hey, look I'm like, me and my black friend are having fun and being goofy. Uh-huh. But this is more like she deals with like PTSD. She deals with like, really, yeah. It's some real like shit. And obviously some of the stuff that comes with kids, mm-hmm. Hispanic kids, and they're growing up, and there's racism and all that stuff, and that kind of stuff gets poured into it. It's a great show. Third season, which is crazy because I didn't think. I saw the first season, I was like, this is great. I don't think it's going to have a second one, because it's like, if you take a serious tone like
what
that.
What does that mean?
I'm talking like,
yo, this is great. Cancel it. What are you, Netflix?
Well, first of all, when I like stuff, they just cancel it. But like, it dealt with some serious issues, and I thought, people are going to say this is too preachy or something, and then they'll be like, they won't like it. But I'm really enjoying it into season 3 even. Mm-hmm. And like, it's expanded its like characters, so it's gotten into some really crazy stuff, but I keep watching it.
Okay, that's cool.
And then just lastly, I won't go into this too much. There's a mini podcast series that I started listening to because my wife was like, you'd enjoy this. Uh-huh. It's called The Dropout. Okay. And it's about this lady named Elizabeth Holmes. Okay. Who started this company after she dropped out of Stanford at 19 and created her own company. Okay. And now she's being indicted for fraud and all this stuff after like, I think it's 8 or 10 years. And it's just an amazing story. It's only 5 episodes. Uh-huh. It's all podcasts. So if you want to, I can go into it later on another podcast or anything. But if you enjoyed Fire Festival or any of that stuff, this is like right in that same path. Okay, cool. But yeah, I'll talk about it more next time. But
I didn't watch that.
Or maybe No, you don't watch. You just listen to it.
No, I didn't watch the Fire Festival things.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, dude, like, first of all, just try and watch the Fire Festival ones, but listen to this podcast stuff, The Dropout. It's done by ABC News, so it's like they get all their ducks in a row, and all the stuff is very, like, really down to business, but, yeah, I would recommend, if you like to watch train wrecks, or if you like to listen to some, like, some really crazy stuff happening in the medical field. Okay. Give it a listen.
Cool. Probably won't, but I don't know. I'm not super into like scandally stuff, I guess, but Maybe I'll listen to it. I don't know. And maybe I'll need something.
I think you'd get into it just because her idol was Steve Jobs.
Okay.
So she started dressing like him, and doing like it's. Oh my gosh! Just like you. Anyway,
she changed her name to Stephanie.
She changed her voice.
Last name Jobs.
Because she thought, if I have like a deeper voice like Steve Jobs, people will respect me.
I mean, hey, listen,
if I wear turtlenecks.
Those self-help books, dude, they give you some crazy tips. Some of them work, some of them don't.
Well, I'm telling you, this is a crazy story. But like I said, maybe I'll have to go into it later. But it just finished up today, so take a listen.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. And it's just free, right? You don't have to.
Of course, it's free.
All right, cool.
Podcast, just like this one.
By the way, you can catch us on SoundCloud, the Radio Toons Podcast.
That's right.
You can catch us on iTunes, Radio Toons Podcast. I think it's podcast. Radio Toons, whatever. I am Soho Shuffle on Twitter.
I am Neo Ernie.
And this has been the Radio Toons Podcast. Huh? How do you like that?
Wow, we got an outro.
Do you like that as the outro? Yeah, do you like that? I'm trying it out, huh? But that does it for this week, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.